Welcome back, everybody. I am still Lance, and I've got a new pair with me here as Grady and Tang have joined me. Tang, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Introduce myself, sorry.
Okay. That's fine, Grady.
Tang?
Go first, please.
No, I'm good, Tag. You're the veteran. I'm so sorry. I had to unmute myself, so I'm a little off tempo with you guys.
Okay. Yeah, we're perfect. Yeah, I'm Tang. I'm casting for PCC. Like I did one of the earlier games today, and before that I was playing as well. I was on Immune. I did win the second PCC, but yeah, just full-time casting, or not full-time, but like casting for PCC now and for Fang Booth. Just having a good time.
And Grady, why don't you introduce yourself to anybody who doesn't know you?
I'm the goob that interrupted Tang on accident, so first of all, there's that. I stream on Twitch. I stream pretty much every day, so a lot of people know me from that. I've also been playing in most of the PCCs. I've played with D-Lab, I've played with Rogue. I've probably played a couple other times, and I can't remember who I played with really, but I'm always a second or third or eighth place Andy, so that's me.
Well, we're super happy that we were able to steal you away for this event, and we did just see D-Lab make it into our main event. We don't have the other two groups being followed live on the broadcast, so I do just want to give an update that both Professors and Indecisive have won their groups as well, going 2-0 on the day. So Professor's still 7-0 so far in this event. We have 3 teams that have qualified, but we are about to get our 4th, as the winner of this game between Midnight Anthem and the Chefs will determine the 4th team to qualify for it. Grady, do you have any expectations for what we'll see in this match out of either of these teams?
I expect the normal strong showing from the Chefs. I will say Midnight Anthem has been doing pretty well so far, so hopefully they can show us what they got in this game.
What do you think, Tang?
Yeah, I think Chef's probably quite the overdog, I think, but in Midnight Anthem they put on a strong showing against P-Tab before, so definitely a lot of known names in that team as well, right? I'm thinking of Wumba that did win the very first Brotherhood tournament, right? So definitely some good players as well, but the Chefs, I don't know, like looking at Cold, at Sihi, at Seismic, at Mav and Sneaks, kind of a stacked roster after all.
I think so too. Before we get into this draft, as we should be pulling it up any second now, Tang, do you think any of these heroes in specific will be prioritized by either of these teams?
I mean, I could always give like the easy answer, right? Which is the Argus, of course. Like people love playing that one. Is maybe a bit overtuned. We just saw Bry absolutely rock that hero, and otherwise, like I think the Richter might be high in prio as well for this one.
Perfect. We should be getting into the bans as the draft is ready. Grady, I know you've had a little bit of familiarity with some of these Chefs players as you've gone head-to-head with them a couple of times. Who's kind of like the highlight of that team in your opinion?
I mean, of course, everybody's definitely going to give it to Cold. I mean, Cold is definitely the backbone of the team. They've done a lot of Protect the President comps, and it's worked with a lot of success. Sneaks recently transitioned over to the off lane, and he's actually been doing really well. So I give him a lot of props, and, Seismic and mid, always holding it down.
Yeah, and we see the Beleka being banned now, so we jump right into the bans and we see the Beleka being banned away, which is pretty smart, right? Like we talked about the Argus just before, and the Beleka would actually be one of those lane counters, right? So if you are Chefs and you do not opt to go for that ban for that Argus, then Midnight Anthem is just gonna get that one in the first pick, potentially, without sort of the lane counter in the mid lane.
Yeah, Beleka always just a safe ban, very strong character. You can flex it mid, you can flex it support. It's going to do well no matter where you put it. I'm interested to see what the Chefs are going to ban though. Argus, Richter, Ramp, all very strong bans to make sure that Midnight Anthem doesn't pick one of those up.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the big bruiser heroes could always be the ban, but instead they go for the Howitzer ban. So might just be a bit of a match-up thing that the Howie ban is going to go for, but now with that I'm expecting Midnight Anthem to just go ahead with that Argus first pick. Now that 2 mid lane champions have been banned away as well, it just kind of opens up that draft a lot easier actually.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really ban out the chefs, right? They have they have very open hero pools. And then even if you're looking to pick something up here, you have to make sure that you're picking something up that's going to be strong for your team, not necessarily something that's going to deny the chefs, right? Like, you know, Sneaks has been really prioritizing Kwong throughout this tournament, throughout the Swiss stages. So, you know, that's a character that you could always try to take away from him in the first pick here. Argus is good in mid and support. So you could always look to pick him here as well. Or Richter. You can't ever go wrong with Richter, right? Big Rick with the hooks. He's a game changer.
And with like most of the priority picks still being open, obviously first pick, first ban. But now we see the Argus being picked, but that leaves like the Rampage open, you just mentioned it. It leaves the Kwang open, leaves the Saras open, a lot of big picks. We also know that chefs, having picked up Seismic, love the Gideon as well, as we see the Kwang being locked in. But also heroes like the Saras also proved to be really impactful. Just having that big team fight ultimate and together with like potential mage lockdown as well could be really impactful. But Kwang being picked up could be offlane, could be jungle as well.
Yeah, definitely hard to say, pretty flexible, but with how well Sneaks has been playing on it, I feel pretty confident it's going to go over to the offlane. So I'm interested to see what the chefs are going to lock in for their second pick, as well as will it be AD, will it be, you know, like Ramp or Richter, will it be a mid laner even? Very interested to see what they do here.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the two mid bans, it kind of pinches that role already quite a bit, with the Argus being picked up as well. So yeah, you said before, chefs can hardly be banned out, but if we go later into the drafts, it's always a possibility. But instead, we go for the Richter pick, with a flex pick that could theoretically go into 3 different rows, but generally we do see it in the support role.
Yeah, I can't imagine seeing Sneaks piloting this one in the offlane, so I'm thinking this is going to go to Mav or Zihi, both of them being pretty strong Richter players, so I'm excited to see either one of them piloting. I'm going to assume it's probably going to go over to Zihi, and the Richter pick is nice too because it does reduce the amount of control that Midnight Anthem can draft with that Argus. A lot of teams have been prioritizing very, very strong control comps with centered around the Argus, so I really want to see what Midnight Anthem pick. Maybe like a Decker, or something along those lines to pair well with that Argus.
Yeah, definitely. The Argus could still be in mid or support as well, right? So maybe they don't really want to ban pick a support quite yet, to maybe leave that flex open. But as we mentioned before, mid pool pretty pinched already. Now we see the Kai and the Drongo being locked in, a safe ADC together with a sort of jungler that has early control, easy objective control as well. Can just sort of clear pretty fast in the early game, but potentially falls off in the late game.
Yeah, very strong core 3 for the team comp of Midnight Anthem so far. Lots of map control with the Kai. Thinking they pick up that Kai, assuming that the Richter might be going into the jungle, or just because it does well into the Richter. Drongo always a safe AD pick, as we saw earlier. It's been getting like the pick ban rate of it right now is, you know, in the 80 percentile. So very, very high priority pick for all of the teams so far in the PCC.
Yeah, we just saw in the D-Lab series that they love to pick it in the first rotation. Now Midnight Anthem up to do the same, second rotation, but it still counts. The Drongo being picked up. We are waiting for chefs to pick one more character. Could still be pretty much everything, honestly, with their 2 heroes being sort of flex. Now we go the Seismic Classic, we go for the Gideon pick. Now we transition into the banning phase, which we see instantly the Saras being banned away.
So it looks like chefs were doing their homework, or they were watching the broadcast earlier before their game. They saw Wumba's stand-up performance on the Xerath. They said that Xerath might also have a decent matchup into the Kwong. So Wumba, no Xerath for you this game.
Yeah, definitely. Sarah's being banned away. It's also like one of those skill matchups as the Kwang, right? So might as well just get rid of it. Kwang generally has pretty good lane matchups in that offlane if it really does go there. Midnight Anthem does have another ban. Like here, I'm sort of like thinking, like, what do they want to ban away? Like ADC is still open, could always ban that away. Otherwise, there is most likely gonna be the jungle pick also still open. A bit surprised that the Rampage actually made it through this far. So that could be one potential ban for Midnight Anthem, since Chefs is gonna have... Wait, actually Decker being banned away, excuse me, and then the Steel being picked up?
The Decker ban is definitely a very, very interesting one for me. I would have liked to see an AD ban because it's safer. You don't know where this Richter's going, right? So it could still be flexed into support. So Decker could very well be just a wasted ban. But Decker being something, I guess, that Midnight Anthem just doesn't want to deal with. They don't want to take the chance of the Richter jungle and the Decker support. The Steel pick into the Kwang, very interesting. I don't see this matchup all too much, and we haven't really seen it too much in the event so far, unless I'm mistaken. So very interested to see how this is going to play out. I'm assuming Kwang is going to be in control of a lot of that lane. But now we have Chef's next 2 picks here. They need to still pick up their AD, and we still got to figure out where this Richter's going. Is it going to be the support, or is it going to be the jungler? So the next 2 picks are going to help us figure that out.
So, Gracia, I might be completely wrong here. Like, I'm a bit confused by the pick order here. But yeah, Kira being picked up, so is the Greystone. So, a Kira Richter lane most likely, and then the Greystone most likely in the jungle actually. Could be offlane, as you mentioned, but Greystone, or like Kwang, is one of the heroes that Sneaks really likes to play on that offlane. So, is most likely gonna end up there. But yeah, pretty strong dual lane, honestly. Kira Richter. Like, if the Richter hits a pull, it just seems to be nights out for the Drongo, most likely Steel lane.
These 2 characters are pretty deadly, however, there is a very low priority lane, right? Kira low clear, Richter low clear, and he's a melee character as well, so he does have to get dangerously close to those minions, and, you know, Drongo can always pull those minions back and make it a difficult time for them to lane. However, if they do hit that hook, like you said, you know, we are going to be seeing some kills. I will say, however, with this draft, I'm pretty sure this Greystone's going jungle. Knowing Mav, he really, really loves that Greystone pick into a Chimera jungle. It is a very strong matchup. And then we see the last pick for Midnight Anthem going to be the Narbash. So Drongo, Narbash lane. I do think the Kira Richter will have a decent time, especially having that big hitbox Narbash for the Richter.
Yeah, I thought that the Steel was actually a better matchup into the Richter than the Narbashes, but now the Steel is gonna be in the off lane, most likely against the Kwang, which is also not necessarily the best matchup for Wumba, especially against Sneak's Kwang. But yeah, that being said, looks like an interesting way to round out the draft. The Narbash provides a lot of late game scaling with the Chimera maybe giving the sort of transition through the early to mid game. Then hopefully, if they're still alive at that point, it can be Narbash just being the game changer for them.
So we have our compositions locked in. The winner of this qualifies for our main event on April 20th. Loser has to get through another game in order to get to that spot. We do have our casters ready. We do have the game ready. So we're going to throw it over to Spooky, Mars, and Tedium.
Thank you so much to Lance and the desk. Thank you for Grady for making an appearance today. First time we've seen him here at the PCC. But Tedium, one thing we have seen many times has been the chefs. Throughout these tournaments, they've made plays after plays upon plays, and they've consistently been one of the top performers. Going up against Midnight Anthem, I say one of these teams certainly has their work cut out for them, but there's something to be said for the fact that they're both here.
Yeah, the Chefs so strong, in fact, that they almost were the 5-0 team yesterday. They ended up falling to the Professors, but still really, really solid performance coming out of them. Midnight Anthem also a relatively solid performance. I think they came out of the Swiss stage in 10th or 11th place, so they're also quite strong. They had 3 wins, 2 losses, but now they're facing up against a pretty strong opponent here in the Chefs.
So, just taking a look over these drafts here. Obviously, we've seen some high priority picks come out. We've seen, obviously, this Kira a few times today. Drongo has obviously been a very strong pick. Just in general, I won't even say throughout the tournament, just in general, Drongo is a very strong pick. Looking at the draft for Midnight Anthem, right? Drongo and this Narbash in this dual lane. Argus in that mid lane as well. Tons of safety and power there. Up against what the Chefs have drafted, where do you think they're looking to find their actual advantage in this game? Because make no mistake, like Tang said, they're a little bit of an underdog. Not unwinnable, but they have to approach this with a clear plan. It might just be aggression right out the gates here.
Well, luckily for Midnight Anthem, they do have that Argus, and I think Argus is incredibly strong. They also have this Drongo, who's been a priority pick for most of the event. We see D-Lab picking it in the first 2 spots every game, pretty much. We see other teams doing similar things. Drongo has become a really strong pick, and into the Kira, when it comes to that late game, when it comes to the point when there's ultimates online, Mr. Cursor is going to be able to cancel out Cold's ults pretty easily. Salami, though, is going to be a bit of a victim until that point in the game because he is huge and Zihi can land a hook easily. And that's exactly what he's looking to do, just zone out the enemy duo lane.
Yeah, it's going to be very dangerous early game for Midnight Anthem. They have to watch their positioning very carefully, make sure they're not stepping up too far. Because as you said, Zihi, he is always looking for one of those pulls. Salami does have the funk to kind of try to dissuade some of that aggression, but if you get pulled in, you're not really too happy about that, even if you land the stun afterwards. Meanwhile, this mid lane, Sej already taking a little bit of an advantage here, out-trades the Argus. Gives himself some pressure. No kills just yet, not forcing any resets, but it could open up some potential rotations coming out from the jungle.
And the first rotation going into the jungle is this little bit of an invade coming from Indo, or it could be a gank onto the back. No, just an invade here onto the 3 camp. He elects not to go for the blue camp because, of course, Mav is in the area, and Mav would have spotted that out. But where he is right now on that 3, he's not seen by anyone.
Yeah, so far, so good for both sides. Some skirmishes on either end of the map. But right now, it's mostly just looking at the farm, trying to make sure you're scaling upwards. Probably looking to try to get some ultimates online. As you mentioned, this dual lane, a little bit dangerous, but over here, Indo makes the first rotation, and it's just like you said, Salami gets pulled in. Kuldacia somehow alive with the barest sliver of health. Midnight Anthem have to walk away. They don't fall for it, but they might in the mid lane. Biggs in some trouble, has to blink away. He survives for now, 3 minutes in. Sparks fly, but no fire.
Yeah, they don't get any kills on either side, but Indo is looking to get that blue buff, and with his entire duo lane around him, he's going to be able to secure it. Salami very lucky that he didn't die, but even luckier is Cold, who survived at, what, 1 HP? Oh, the rad round's just not enough. He might not have even had it. He was relying on the Drongo passive.
Now Kuldacia resets, comes back to the lane. Gets spotted on a ward. Careful, avoids the thunk. Able to walk back in. Now it's back to parity on this lane. Midnight Anthem is pushing forward in that lane. That means they're in a little bit of a dangerous position. It could open up a potential gank. Come out. What do you think? Where do you think we're looking to really find some aggression? Obviously, Mav on this Greystone, does he want to just farm up, get the ultimate online before he's making these ganks? Or do you think he's looking to try to get someone ahead early?
The Chefs have really prioritized getting these Fang Teeth really, really early. They've been snowballing off Fang Teeth pretty consistently. He's looking to get a fight here on a Wumba, but with the tether missing, Wumba should be safe to get under his tower. But yeah, as I was saying, really focused on getting these Fang Teeth, and I don't expect them to be any different this game. Chefs are the more experienced team, so once they, start going with their action plan of Fang Teeth, I think I just expect them to continue to keep their foot on the gas once they start.
So that now falls to Midnight Anthem to try to get ahead of that. Try to find some kind of advantage around those Fangtooth pits, or at least even footing, so they don't give things up for free. The question is, how quickly can they rotate over that pit? How many people are they willing to put towards it to answer the Chefs there? The Chefs have shown they can take an early start to these games, or they can play a longer match. Biggs a little bit of trouble here. Mav make the rotation. Not many places this Argus can go. Wumba has to try to find a way in, but the Richter pulls him back. Rock on the head. First blood comes through. And the Chefs start things off 5.5 minutes in.
Is Zihi a supporter or is Zihi a jungler? What was he doing in mid already?
Hey, he's got places to be and people to pull, and he's apparently looking to get the Chefs started up on something here. And apparently it's what they needed, right? They get the kill. They finally break open that mid lane. We've seen quite a bit of aggression between these two mid laners. Seismic throwing out a lot of damage, but not able to always confirm that kill. This is a nice step forward for them as Wumba also taking some damage. Bull Rush gets him back under tower. Not in a great spot there either, because look at Seismic. He's coming around as well.
Yeah, Chef's just constantly on the rotation. It doesn't matter what lane they're coming from. They're always looking to get someone else in another lane.
Yeah, that's just the 1-2 combo there. Seismic, 2 rocks, 2 kills to his name. 2 kills for the Chefs as well. So far, Seismic has been the one really setting the pace of this game. He's been just so very active around the map. But Indo trying to make a rotation, try to even things out. Looking for Kuldacia, jumps forward, but the dash is good. Funk hits Zihi, but that's not the target you really wanted, so it's just going to be a back off, and Biggs not really in a position to do much here. Aggression should be finished.
Yeah, they really just don't want to let Chefs get onto this Fangtooth as, like, they just don't want them to start it yet. Sai now using the black hole in the middle of the jungle onto Biggs, who does go down. Cold gets a kill. Doesn't go to Seismic this time, but probably going onto Cold. Definitely looking better.
And Kuldacia now on the board as well. 3rd kill for the Chefs. I mean, you said, who is Zihi, support or jungle? But apparently, it's just the duo lane in general that likes to leave that lane and get active in mid. Biggs has been the target of a lot of aggression so far. And it hasn't felt like there's been really an answer from Midnight Anthem to try to slow that down. Biggs has fallen 2 times now. What do they do to try to rein that in? So now we might have to hold that thought, because there's another rotation happening. Mav coming over to this duo lane. Flash doesn't quite connect, and Salami burns the blink to get out of danger. They're okay for now.
Wamba is having a bit of a tough time in this lane, and that's the power of the Kwang. A really, really strong pick right now, but luckily he's getting help from Indo Complex. The jump up, down from Wamba does secure the knockup, and Big Z with the ultimate himself secures the kill.
Hey, man, he said, all right, you guys want to put some damage into me? I'll put some damage back into you. Drops the ult, finds the kill. I think that's worth it, right? Getting a kill onto Biggs, who's been this target, should be very valuable. It gives them some kind of answer back. Now with that rotation, maybe just what you were talking about. Mini Prime being looked at by Midnight Anthem. The Fangtooth being looked at by the Chefs as well. Seismic around the Mini Prime is going to push Indo away, which means there is no trade here. It's just a 1-for-0, Sai. Jumping forward, look to drop the black hole. Can the Chimera get back out? He can somehow survive that one. But Kuldacia, all the way from the dual lane, makes a guest appearance on the right side of the map and finishes the job. Now, the Mini Prime should go the way of the Chefs.
I really loved what they did there. They knew that Mav could get the Fangtooth all by himself, and instead of helping on that objective, Zihi and Cold rotate all the way to the Mini Prime, and they make sure that the enemy Chimera cannot secure that. They get the kill as well, and now the buff is all but theirs.
Salami Biggs trying to find a way in. Indo and Wumba are coming around, but they don't have a way in. Look at all the damage coming out already. Seismic puts the support down. Sneaks wants to keep on running, but he's done his job. He's bought all the space they need. Whiplash, very close, but the cleanse is good. Keeps Indo Complex from being another death marker on the side of the Chefs. The Chefs, nonetheless, beginning to take over this game. We're only 10 minutes in.
And Cold's the one who gets the Mini Prime, so this tower is going to fall really quickly. Potentially even the duo lane tower or the off lane tower, wherever he decides his next victim is going to be. They're going to be able to push down another tower. I expect another one to go down.
Yeah, Mav over here keeping his duo lane alive. It's going to be a reset from Kuldacia. Spend some of that gold they just made. Right now, I mean, it's hard to say what Midnight Anthem can do to kind of slow this down, because every lane right now is struggling. They don't have a good place they can put their attention. And so it feels like maybe they just have to try to force something in one of these lanes, right? Maybe overload one side of the map, as the Chefs are so keen on doing. Wumba might finally get one back. Is he going to go ahead and dive? He just needs one more hit, but can he get it? The tower says no. Sneaks, runs around, survives, and it's just one more casualty for the Midnight Anthem.
Big Z tried to get an ultimate onto the Kwang, try to secure the kill in trade, but Mav's in the jungle and Mav is killing him instead. Salami now on the run. He's getting slowed by Mav, but the healing might be enough. Seismic in the area as well says, Salami, you're going down. You're going into the meat grinder.
Man, the Midnight Anthem is really starting to look more like a eulogy at this point. 8-1, 11.5 minutes in, and now the Chefs take down another one of the towers. This is a clean and clinical performance from the Chefs so far. It's just a matter of keeping it up, and we've seen time and again, the Chefs are not ones to let things slip as the game gets going. These guys are ones that once they find a lead, they know how to press that and keep up all the aggression they need. So Tedium, I have to wonder where the Midnight Anthem draws a line on this game. Where do they go to try to slow this roll down and keep themselves in the game?
Look, Midnight Anthem, they have a team composition that I think is really good in this team fighting stage. They've got a Narbash for healing, a walking fountain, if you will. Also his ultimate, certainly a strong team fighting ultimate when he's able to use it effectively. They have an amazing team fight ultimate, but they, of course, need to make it to that team fighting stage, and that is what Chefs are really inhibiting them from doing.
Yeah, it's really kind of looking grim for even reaching that point. I mean, the Chefs have pretty much come out of the gates already in the team fight stage, right? We're 5 minutes in, and Z has said, you know what? I'm kind of done with this whole support business. Side laning? What's that? I'm going to go all the way to the mid lane, pick up a kill. And Coldacia sees that and says, you know what? Maybe the lane phase isn't all that important. Let's go to the mid lane too. I want to be there. And it's just leading to this cascading effect now where the Chefs are up 7 kills over Midnight Anthem. And as aggressive as they have been, we have not seen a clean answer back from the Midnight Anthem so far.
Yeah, I think Midnight Anthem is going to be looking a little bit desperate. I think they're really going to want to make sure that they are active around the next objective, whether it be the Mini Prime, whether it be the Fangtooth. They can't keep giving these up to the Chefs.
Can't keep giving them up, but it's also feeling like they can't step forward at this point. I mean, 8-1, and Anthem has been losing these team fights, right? That's undeniable. They have to find a way to find some kind of picks, but the way that the Chefs play this game, they've got so much vision control. It's hard to catch one of them out. They play together so nicely. It feels like the only target they do have is Sneaks. And Indo's going to come in, look for the gank, but he is 3 levels down. Wumba is extraordinarily low. Could fall very quickly. And Sneaks is turning some damage back around, but he's not able to get enough onto Wumba. And finally, Indo Complex puts him down. But now Seismic is in the area. Throw rock doesn't quite connect it onto the steel. Salami is still level 5, rotating in against the level 10 Seismic. Luckily, not enough there to follow up on. He's going to have to walk away. Seismic going to pressure this tower.
Wumba is a lot braver than I will ever be. I really thought he was going down in that fight.
Same.
Going in at such low HP, I think he got out at like 10 HP. The Kwang deals a lot of damage and has a lot of control and gets shields. Like, I really thought that the Kwang was going to be able to take down Wumba, but, well calculated by him. Good pick, and that's exactly what you said they needed.
Indo now looking to get aggressive onto Mav. Z pulls him away from his jungler. So now the attention turns onto Z himself. Skewer comes through. The shield is good, but is it good enough? Doing a lot of damage here, and Coldacia comes in, clutches up, puts Salami down. 1-for-1 now as Wumba also makes the rotation. Z falls, no supports in this fight. And Indo's still going in, but he's very low already, and he does not have enough to save. What a black hole! What will the event horizon as their chances of winning this fight just disappear into the cold darkness of space?
They have to commit so much to kill the characters on Chefs. 2 lives on the Greystone, and he gets out on his second life at like 10 HP. Zihi barely makes it out, and then he does get killed in the end on the runaway. But they kill out the support, and they burn so much. It bought so much time for the rest of the team to rotate, and the black hole coming out was absolutely immaculate.
Stellar performance, if I might say so myself. Just perfect
I
placement
wish I had
from
gotten
that
that one.
ultimate. And that's just the chefs, Tedium. They are so patient and well organized. They play together so cleanly. That fight could have been very bad for them. Indo had a good engage, and it was Zihi clutching up, finding that pull to get the jungler off of his own jungler and buy so much time. And like you said, the Midnight Anthem just cannot burn that much and not get anything out of it. They end up taking, what was it, a 3-for-1, I think, by the end of things. Now 12-3 in favor of the Chefs. We're still not even 16 minutes into the game, approaching the third Fang Tooth, approaching relatively soon or Prime. Before we get to that, there's still objectives to be taken as Mr. Cursor gets aggressed on. Neat. Not able to secure that one, just buying time for this last mini Prime to be taken by his team.
And this mini Prime should secure them one of the tier 2s. I'm eyeing that mid lane, half health on that tower, but Mav looks like he's eyeing the right side. That's where Wumba is, and that's where a potential victim could be.
And Riplash connects the lobby! Is just dead meat at this point, thrown back to the deli. Kuldacia finds that one. There's not a whole lot they can do to answer back. This is just pressure for the Chefs at this point. They've got the mini Prime. They've got everything they need to start taking these towers down. Wumba is a brave man stepping forward trying to block this push. I don't think he can do it by himself. The team also not going to be able to rotate in. He's taking some damage. Eventually he should just back out. This tower will fall.
That's 2 tier 2 towers. I only expected the mid to go down, but Wumba cannot defend all by himself, and Big Z cannot defend from the ultimate coming out from cold.
That is just tragic. He was so close to finding the kill, to finding the shutdown, but the purge is good. Keeps Kuldacia alive and able to push, rather reset and rejoin his team. It's Midnight Anthem. Now have to group around this inhibitor, try to find a defense. Indo jumps in and pushes. One back out. Mav, not in this fight anymore. Seismic, he looked at by Wumba, but I don't know what he can do. He goes forward and drops the black hole. It sets up for Zihi, who finds the skewer. Bull rush, pushes him back out, and Seismic goes down. You've overstepped and you've overstayed. Sneaks now a target. Indo wants to run him down. The rest of his team is coming, but look at this. Kuldacia on the way back up. He's bringing the damage, but he gets knocked up. Sneaks damage out, up and down from Steel, does find the kill. Now he has to contend with the Kira, and the Kira is hitting hard. You can stun, but you can't live. Biggs returns one. This one has been an over-aggression from the Chefs. It's a 3-for-1, and the Midnight Anthem are singing their tune.
The Midnight Anthem team is looking pretty strong in that team fight stage. Yes, Chefs had used a lot of abilities, but they did still have that black hole. It didn't matter, though. A lot of the healing coming out of this Narbash, it's starting to become impactful. That Steel ultimate, it's always going to be impactful. And this Chimera, he's got healing as well. This team fight is pretty strong coming out for Midnight Anthem, and it's exactly what we just saw.
Got the healing. Kuldacia does have the anti-heal online. Tainted Rounds are in the build there. But notably, Kuldacia wasn't
in that fight, though.
there at the start of that fight. He wasn't able to apply that anti-heal before the aggression. And really, it feels to me like Seismic just got a little too eager there. Now Mav also getting eager, jumping on in, takes a crap ton of damage. Indo burning away at Kuldacia. Finds the first kill of this fight, but now has to contend with the Argus. The Particle Shredder shreds the health bar, finally puts this Kira in the dirt. A 1-for-1 trade, but Midnight Anthem lost their jungler, and now keep it on going. Seismic comes through the top, finds the black hole, and it's so much damage. Wumba limping away as Mr. Cursor not even able to get active in that fight. Just stands back and has to watch it all happen.
Look, Seismic has been doing insane things with these black holes. Yes, he kind of went a little too hard on the right-hand side, but every other black hole that I've seen this guy put out has been, as you said earlier, stellar. He has been a key to their team fights, and obviously Zihi with the pull and the skewer has helped that even more. The control that's coming out of the Chefs team is really, really strong. And they're not just controlling the enemy heroes, they're controlling the map and they're controlling these neutral objectives. I said it at the beginning. They want to get 1, they want to get 2, they want to get 3, they want to get 4, they want to get 5. They got 5 of the neutral objectives already, and it's not going to stop. I expect the Primal and the Orb Prime to fall to them as well. Chefs are cooking.
Just past the 20-minute mark here, TDM. That means the Orb Prime is very much in consideration. And with this rotation, it's a no-brainer. You know where the Chefs want to go. They are looking for it, but they know the Midnight Anthem likes to step forward. So they are on the hunt now. They're looking for any pick they can get here. But they're not going to catch anyone here. Wise enough to take a step back, maintain control over the map. Just get the vision down, get ready for this pull. Sneaks. Pulling a sneaky play here. Does catch Wumba. And here comes the rest of the Chefs looking to cut him off. Make sure that Midnight Anthem cannot give Wumba any support. He jumps in. He's looking for Koldacia, who's already taken a bunch of damage. Has to blink away, but he's being chased down. The black hole comes through, but it's not going to keep his ADC alive. Wumba still limping around at the end of this fight. Chefs are still answering back out. 2 for 2 so far. Might be a third one going down as Biggs cannot find a way out. Mr. Cursor trying to get out. Use the shrapnel cannon. He's being chased down by Sneaks and Zihi. Boomerang comes through for the slow, but it's not going to be slow enough. Mav still going on deep. Somehow alive despite how deep he's gone. And at the end of things, it's only Indo still alive. This dive is just not working.
Yeah. Chefs, protect the president has always been their play. They love to protect Cold. And in that fight, Cold had to burn everything to stay alive, and still Indo Complex blinked past everyone to dive him. You don't need to necessarily... Killing the president doesn't necessarily make you win the team fight, as we just saw. They burn a lot of stuff for Cold. They make Cold burn a lot of stuff. But in trade, their entire team burns away as everyone else on the Chefs collapses on the people that Indo Complex left behind.
It's this problem, right? Because you've got the president you're targeting, that's Koldacia, but then there's also, like, the vice admiral, that's Seismic, he's still putting out plenty of damage. And you've got, like, I don't know many military terms, like co-commander or something, that's Zihi, just pulling everyone away, directing these fights, and keeping Midnight Anthem from actually accomplishing anything on these dives. Sure, you can select your targets, but there's just so many targets, and they're just running you down as well. Mr. Cursor cursing his fate. He just goes one down. That should open up quite a bit of the map now for the Chefs. So right back to the Sword Prime. Start the shred. I don't see any way the Midnight Anthem can comfortably step up to this one.
Oh, not without Cursor. He's a lot of their damage. ADCs at this stage of the game are going to start dealing good damage, so they're going to have to give up on this Orb Prime. That's another objective, going to the side of Chefs.
And this is one of the biggest ones they can possibly get here. Orb Prime around all 5. Still only 4 left to defend. Now, Mr. Cursor will be coming up about 5 seconds here. But it gives the Chefs so much time to just step forward and start positioning for this siege. And with Zihi here, who can just pull people away from that inhibitor, what does this defense even look like? I don't know if the Midnight Anthem can step forward.
No, they can't, but that steel wall is really good for them. They can, of course, block out all the damage coming out of Cold.
Well, that's an ultimate down in Indo. Looking to try to get aggressive, but he's taking a shred ton of damage, being pushed back. Somehow Koldacia does go down as Zihi tries to find the skewer, buy his team some time. And answers back. Indo drops down on this one. The black hole opens up once again. Not going to finish the kills off, but Salami so low and goes all the way deep. Oh, got the inhibitor. That is just a wipe. Only Biggs left alive. Just be the end of the game. Right there, TDM. 4 still strong for the Chefs. 1 alive, none alive. Seismic finishes it up, and that's the game.
I am just a little disappointed that I didn't get to stay the line I was cooking all game. I was going to say Chefs know how to handle Salami, but of course I didn't get the opportunity. They finished the match way too quickly. Chefs with the win in their group.
I mean, I would say that that was a good time to say that. They definitely do know how to handle Salami here. did not get to have much of an impact whatsoever. 1-7 is your support. 1-6 is one on that frontliner, and you can't hardly blame them. There's so much pressure being put towards them, being pulled out, and they were just so far down. There wasn't really anything they could do. They did their best to keep their team alive, and it did lead to some fights, kind of going their way, or at least falling a little bit even, but there's only so much you can do with that deficit.
There's also only so much you can do against a team that not only has such strong players, but has such strong players who have played together for such a long time. They were a team that played really well in our last event. They've just constantly improved in each event, and they're looking like one of the new top teams, one of the new top contenders. Chefs are looking scary.
Yeah, Chefs have consistently been incredible in these tournaments. They are not looking like they're slacking whatsoever. I, for one, I'm excited to see how they do going forward, but that's going to be all we see of them for today. Got more matches coming up, but first, that's going to be it from Spooky and Tedium.
Bye.
Thank you, Spooky. Thank you, Tedium. That was quite the match out of the Chefs, who become our 4th team to qualify for our main event. Grady, what went so well for them that game?
I mean, it all started with that 5-minute rotate from Zihi and Cold. Zihi getting that big hook onto the Argus into the first blood onto Seismic. Then Seismic running over to the off-lane tower. Big setup from Sneaks, getting another kill, and then it kind of just snowballed out of control from there. Seismic was all over the map, applying pressure everywhere. Big ults in the jungle, really helping his team out. And I mean, that's the Chefs as a whole had just outstanding performance all over the map.
I think so too. They were everywhere. Tell me about these early roams and all of these different things that they did, Tang. They were everywhere on this map.
Yeah, I mean, don't give Seismic the Gideon, bro. At this point, like, he just loves that hero, and he was just everywhere. Honestly, it's also comes off the back of like a winning dual lane, right? Like with Cold and Zihi winning out on that lane, kind of draft dependent on as well, right? Like with the Richter playing into an Arbage is a pretty free lane that also allows them to leverage that into the mid lane, and then they unlock Gideon, and then the Gideon can just absolutely dominate the map. And then in the late game, like, actually in the early game still, right? Cold secures the first mini prime as well, and then Cold is the big win condition, and we see Indo use everything to get rid of Cold, but then you still have a really ahead Seismic, right? And then you have Sneaks as well pumping out the damage. Then suddenly it's just the Chefs in the pole position to win the game.
I think so too, and like I said before, that is our 4th team to qualify for our main event so far. We have got Professors, we've got Flow State, we've got the Chefs that we just saw cook up an excellent performance against Midnight Anthem, and we have Indecisive making it as well. We are about to get the last game from Group 2. We will see the conclusion between Flow State and Roganin for the final spot from Group 2. But before we do that, we got to take a little break. But before we take a little break, before we get to the next game, don't forget to type in ! support into that. Donate to the PCC. Help us keeping Predecessor going and keeping the competition alive. We will see you in a couple of minutes.